Record. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cluster API CI Signal team for the 1.10 Cluster API release. This is the meeting for February 5th, 2025. This is We are abiding by the CNCF Code of Conduct for this meeting. Please use the raise hands feature. Keep the so I'm not supposed to read that part out loud. Uh, what else should I warn people about? Oh yeah, please add your name to the meeting if you're attending and are comfortable doing so. All right. Hi. Good morning or afternoon or late night evening, depending on where you are. Good day, good evening, good night, good something, good meeting time. Um, I do not have any PSAs for this week. Is that true? That's true. Um, but we do have a discussion topic. Sepida, do you want to ask your question?
Yes, actually, I have a question before the discussion topics.
Oh, all right.
What does PSA stand for?
Public service announcement.
Ooh, okay, good. Today I learned. Thank you. Okay, so for the discussion topics, Addie and I met a few days ago just to see what we understand from everything. It was a short meeting, and one of the questions that we had was when we look at the aggregated dashboards versus the actual test grid, is there supposed to be, I guess, a one-on-one mapping between what you see in the test grid versus the aggregated flow? And by that, I mean, I was looking at that day and there was no test failing in the aggregated dashboards. It was saying the things look good, nothing failed today. But when we were looking on the test grid, there were one or two tests that had failed that day. So we weren't sure how to interpret that and if our source of truth should be the test grid tests or the aggregated flow to know, hey, okay, something needs attention. We should go and look at it.
All right, so let me try and figure out what you're referring to here. So like this would be the test grid view, right?
Yes.
And you'd see some of these flaky results in here, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's all right. So looks like we had yeah, this cluster class upgrade management cluster issue. This is one of the hard ones to fix that we haven't figured out. So we have this failure in here, and then you went to
This one,
one of
yes.
these,
Yeah.
and it wasn't in there.
Yeah, so that day, and I think it was 2 days ago or something. So all of these were showing that there was no test failure for that
It would say
day.
like zero today.
Yes. Yes.
So what's probably going on there is these boards, depending on how you call them, have a filter in there. Um, like the one I like to use, and I think is documented in the GitHub repo, is this filter. So I believe that filter is what's making it look like nothing failed that day. So this would have been a couple days ago, you said?
Yeah. When was it, Addie? Let's see which day it was.
We were looking at the third.
On the 3rd.
Yes.
Um, uh,
Yeah,
so
and now that I'm looking at it again, I do see those on the aggregated dashboard. We didn't see them the day of, so maybe it just took a while to update as well.
Oh, so
Oh, that's a
maybe
good
it's
question. I don't know how long this board takes how long it lags behind.
mhm. Maybe it's updated after that day's over.
Mm,
Like on the fourth, you can see what happened on the third.
no, it's some number of hours because I've already got stuff showing up for the 5th on this board.
Mm,
Um,
true.
which I don't know if you could see it on the recording, but um, here's like something from 1 a.m. UTC time on the 5th.
Mhm.
So so what I would expect happen is a combination of the test you saw fail either just failed and it hadn't gotten to this board yet,
Mhm.
or it was filtered out because we're only looking at these. And so I know for a fact, like some of these ones that are like PR based down here don't get caught by that filter. And I believe that's intentional because the PR based ones are most likely due to new code that's being submitted. So they're working on, they need to fix the errors before those PRs are committed. So like we don't, these aren't really flaky tests so much as just tests that run when people have PRs that are needing to go in.
Mhm.
Everything above the PR line, so like all the ones with end to end in them, and that's why the filter has dash end to end in it. Those are the ones we care about. Um, and it looks like I've got a
Understood.
few flaky ones today to review to see if they're good or bad or just known issues. Um, I,
So I guess that means we really don't look at the aggregated dashboard very often. What we want to rely on is the test grid
I think
to
you can look
decide.
at. Oh, okay. Yeah, the aggregated test board tests. I think that's fine though. Like, just I think it's just another good view of the same data because
Mhm.
I don't care if it's a few hours behind unless you're trying to be perfect because you're still checking it to what you're at worst a day behind. We're trying to we're trying to fix flaky tests. You don't have to be perfectly up to date. Um,
Mhm.
Catching failures that are just ongoing would maybe require looking at the full test grid. So like
Mhm.
if you wanted to review this and then du duck into the test grid output. I say all that, and you know what I do every day? I look at the test grid. So maybe I'm just wrong.
I don't think so. No.
I'm
No. Okay.
thinking this through. I tend to just go right to the test grid. But
Mhm.
yeah, there's a lot of noise in here. And it would be nice to I think they both have their downsides and their upsides. So
Mhm.
I would say use the tool that you think you're more comfortable with. Thanks, Mohammed. See you.
Bye, Mohammed. Okay, cool. So the other question about this is, I think Addie added something on that.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. That I have an answer to. But let's review the question. Where'd that go? Oh,
Mm,
no, I don't. Let's. If some PR tests are flaky, is that a non-issue? Yeah, I think the PR tests are a non-issue, um, unless they are consistently broken. But we're not checking the PR tests as part of this group, is my understanding. Like if they're broken and nobody can submit PRs, yeah, we need to work on that. But I think you will hear
mm.
about that in the main channel.
yeah, if everyone is blocked, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But yeah, we should be focusing on the end to end and the unit tests for the CI signal team. Um,
Cool. Thank you.
Gotcha.
all right, and then your next question was, do the alert emails actually work? So what I wanted to do was show you what one of those looks like, so you know what to be
Yeah,
looking for.
I don't think I've got anything.
So the last one I got was Friday the 24th, I think. Um,
Maybe I gave my
these
email wrong. That would be fun.
you may not have had it in there by then, or it just hasn't fired since you got added to the list, or maybe something's actually wrong. This doesn't, I haven't gotten very many of these. I think I've gotten three total. Um, and at first they were in my junk email, so I had to fix that because
Oh, maybe
because
I
they come
didn't.
from a weird from address. And
Was the when was the last time you got one?
I believe it's this one that I have up from the 24th of January, but here, let me double check.
So
Yeah, the
it's
last
not
one I
like
see, yeah.
hmm.
And this fire, let's go and look at the dashboard for that day now. If it goes back that far. So you could see, oh, no, it doesn't have, oh, I should probably see which one it failed in. The Cappy end-to-end latest Kate's main. So Cappy end-to-end latest Kate's main. And then if we go to 24th, yeah. So this is the sort of situation that these emails fire for.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Ouch.
Uh-huh. So like they're strong alerts that like things are straight up failing. Like it's not just flake, it's just like none of the tests are working.
Okay.
So the when these go off, means things are really broken. And there was discussion on the 24th as to why that was and the things that needed to be fixed to resolve it. Um, I think it was like
Okay,
Signet,
cool.
like broken upstream Kubernetes tests in this case, and that's the last time we had that be a problem
Okay.
this cycle so far.
Fair enough.
Now that I've said this, it's going to break tomorrow, right? So,
Hopefully not. No, but I thought initially like it might fire an alert every time there's a failure, but this
no.
explains why I didn't get it. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So that's it.
it's probably
Um,
for the best. I don't want alerts for every
yeah,
flake.
yeah, you don't want a lot of noise or you stop paying attention to it. Absolutely. Um, One other thing I wanted to ask, and I didn't mention it in the notes, is, and I'm sorry if this is a very new question. So you're looking at a test that failed, and you want to test it locally on Tilt. Would you be able to test, or if you can show how you only test that single test that failed instead of the whole end-to-end set of tests?
Yeah, all right. I could do that. This up and running. Okay. So, there are multiple ways to do this. Um, so you'll see various instructions. So here's what I do for this one is this is going to be so hard to see unless I make this bigger. All right. So you've gotten to the point where you've run like make tilt end to end
Yes.
prerequisites and make tilt up locally, right? So,
Yes.
all right.
And actually, to that point, I had issues because some of the images were not being pulled because they were pointing to the dev version of the
Yeah.
images. And then I changed them to the latest and it was also failing. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and pull a specific version. But yeah, I
So
did
what's going on there is you have probably some de- if you do like the make Docker build end to end, it'll update the templates to look for images that have your architecture and the dev tag.
Mhm.
And you'll see them like in VS Code, you'll see like these modified template files. So what I find is when I've got it that situation and then trying to tilt up, what I have to do is reset my repo back to head, get rid of
Mhm.
those extra files, and then just do the two make tilt end end and make tilt up commands.
Okay.
Um, yeah, let me hold on. Let me
Yeah,
actually write
that's
this in
probably
the
what happened
document a
because I
little.
did mess around a whole
If
bunch, so
you
I have to
are
start
having
clean.
issues with your cluster pulling the correct images and can't find images that end in something like AMD 64 colon dev, reset to the head, remove those extra files. Actually, remove those extra files, reset to the head, then only run make tilt E to E prerequisites and make tilt up. So there's a trick there with on the CI machines, the scope of those variables is set to like all architectures and stuff, and the tag shows up as just the cluster API image without an architecture in the name and without the dev tag. And unless you're doing the same environment variable setup that the CI does, it'll not do that on your local machine, and that can cause issues like when you want tilt to pull the images and you've got these generated YAML templates on your machine that
Mhm.
are were created with the regular build commands. And it's a mess, and all I do is like, okay, it's not working, blow everything away, start over again.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
And I know that kind of sucks, but all right. So I've got Tilt up here. I'm gonna start a new browser thing. And actually, first I'm gonna. Where is my? Because I think I have this in here too. So when you want to run a specific test, we have the Ginkgo focus command.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like the best thing for doing a focused test. So like if you are following the directions in the cluster API handbook
Mm-hmm.
for running your tests in and running the end-to-end tests in an IDE, you're gonna find this config, this launch.json file to copy and paste into your thing, and the inside there is a ginkgo.focus that you can put the name of your test as specific as possible, and then when you run it in the IDE, it will only run that test. There are other ways to do this as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you'll see this in the testing documentation. So like, let's see if I gotta, yeah. So like here is an example of the other way to do it on the command line. I still use Tilt to start up the cluster because it avoids all those image pulling issues you just talked about, and make sure you have a local cluster running properly. Um, and then I set the environment variable Ginkgo underscore focus to the name of the test that I care about. There are
Mm-hmm.
some things to escape if you have like special characters. You have to like double escape parentheses and brackets. Um, And then I do use existing cluster equals true, which says use the cluster that's already up on my machine locally, and
Mm-hmm.
then make test end to end. And this will run only tests that match this string.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get those test names from the this output here, right?
Yeah.
But you can also get so like when testing cluster everywhere. So like if I copy and pasted using cluster class should pivot, I would have to escape the brackets, but then it would only run this test. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right.
And one other question. Let's assume a test has failed, and we want to retest it locally. We run it once and it fails, and we run it one more time, it passes, and then every time after that, it passes without us doing anything.
Mm.
Do you just assume, like, okay, I can't do anything, I couldn't replicate this, reproduce this, so I'll just move on and
Well, I mean, you had it fail once locally, right?
yeah.
So like I think the standing orders are if you can figure out what it is, do so. If you can't, open a ticket in the issues and make and point out, hey, we've got a new test that only fails sometimes and I can't figure it out. We need some help.
Okay.
Now, I haven't seen any of those yet, unless I'm overlooking something that don't already have corresponding tickets.
Understood.
And if you think you do, um, I mean, you can open the issue anyway, and we'll just say, oh, this is technically a dupe of this other one, and close it. Or you
Mhm.
can bring it up in the channel and we can discuss it and say, yeah, I agree, that's a new one. You should open it.
Okay.
I'm okay either way. I'm like, yeah.
And
Well,
sorry, one more thing. Do you, so for, let's say you check the test grid every day and you see five tests that failed. Do
mhm.
you test them once, like every day for every test that failed? And then if there is an issue open for it, great. If not, you
So what
review it.
I don't rerun the tests that failed if there's already an issue for them. So
Okay.
the workflow I do is like, is this already one of the tests we know is flaky by
Okay.
going and checking on the issues table.
But I mean, you do, so as long as it's not an existing issue, you always run them locally just to see how things are and then decide if you want to open an issue for it or
I
not.
mean, you don't have to. Like it depends on your ability to debug it with just the logs, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, I guess, yeah, because you do have the logs online and you
yeah,
can.
so like yeah, I guess should so I was just showing on my screen for those watching, this was me running just the PR blocking test and it's just doing that one test. But now let me go back to sharing my browser. And let's see. So we've got this guy here. We see one testing cluster API failed. If you click the timestamp here, it will take you to the log output of that test. And so you can look at the entire build log and see like, are these the same things that we're seeing in the ticket in GitHub for the existing known flakes, right? Um, and like this morning, I think this one's a known one, but like this one in front of me right now, I think I would actually go and read um, the ticket task just to double check and make sure. Um, so I have so many tabs open. I gotta figure out where these are.
Still very organized.
Uh, all right, where's my flake? Kind flake. So if I sort by kind, hey, all right, we got three of these. Yeah, I don't know. Like this one that says self-hosted clusters should pivot. Um, should pivot. Yeah, I'm actually a little worried about this one. So I would need to be digging in this today to this cluster class one to make sure it's covered in one of these three tickets, just to double check, because I'm off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Oh, it's this one. Okay, yes. So which tests are failing? Cappy. So this is that same test that we were just looking at when testing cluster API workload on self-hosted clusters. Blah 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 blah. Um, it's stuck between machine pools or stuck in deletion. So like, well, we have a long thread on this. Um, I believe these are the same, but we would need to take a look inside the logs that I was just referring to make sure we see the same error messages in the logs that this is referring to, if that makes sense, right? And then eventually, if you're doing this day after day, you come to recognize, oh, these tests, I looked at this yesterday. It's the same flake as before. Um, the ticket investigation is ongoing, and we'll get there.
Mhm.
I believe this is
Makes
the same
sense.
one, but I'm going to double check it actually after this meeting just to be sure.
Um, One thing for the tests that have been flaky for a while and let's say they have been complex that no one could have found a fix for them. Do we ever update the pipeline to skip or exclude those tests?
Um, if they're flaky,
Yeah.
no, because eventually they work, right?
Mm.
If it is causing if it is a known flaky test that is providing no value, usually on an older branch where no development is planned to be done, I think I've seen those get skipped sometimes, but only if they're causing problems
Okay.
usually. But like these ones that are back to the test grid, um, not the so something like today where this fails once a day, and we have a ticket issue open on it. No, we're not gonna remove these from the pipeline. Those are
Is,
we want to get those better eventually.
oh, was I frozen or were you frozen?
Oh, am I frozen? What am I doing?
Maybe I was
Uh,
frozen.
can you see my browser showing the test grid?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. So like if I just went to the main branch summary and found the first flaky result. I've got two failures, it looks like, in the past 24 hours for the cluster class should create a management cluster and upgrade all the providers one, which
Hmm.
is one I know has been flaking for a while, and we're trying to work on it, but it people who are smart enough to figure it out need to dig in and have time to fix it. So like we wouldn't remove this because this test flaking is the kind of test we want to fix, not remove.
Hmm.
If it were blocking the release and everyone decided this test is a false flag, then sure,
Hmm.
then we could work around it. But there's no reason to just get rid of it
Yeah.
right now. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Yeah, yep, it does. Thank you.
So this is exactly why we're here, is to help reduce these amounts of um, failing
Wow. Yeah.
flakes so that we see fewer red in here and have to spend all this time being like, oh, is this a new issue or is this just the same one over and over?
Got it. Thank you. I asked all my questions and you answered all of them. Thank you.
Oh, cool. um, let's see. How do I should we remove flaky tests from the pipeline? No, we want to reduce their flakiness. The tests are still valuable and eventually pass. All right. That's the short version of my answer. Okay. I had a feeling I was going to say something else. No, it's gone. The what we got? There was I think I mentioned this last week. We'd pushed a small tweak to one of the tests that made it try the test again. Um, it was the upgrade tests on some of the older versions of Cluster API to the current version, and we wanted to try again. And I'd committed that to the main branch last week. Yesterday, I backported that to the 1.8 and 1.9 branch. 1.7 is not actively developed, so we're not backporting it to that. Um, so that should help reduce that one signature of test from showing up in the 1.7 and 1.8 branches, which was do I have it here? It would, yeah, the one that was like V0.4 to V1.6 to current. So we should start seeing fewer of those in the 1.8 and 1.9 branch, just like we've had fewer of them in the main branch over the last week or two. Um, I should add that to the notes. Added the flake retry twice setting to the upgrade tests in the 1.8 and 1.9 branches. So 0.4 to 1.6 to current style tests. And that was fun for me. And I'd like to show you this if I can, because I got to use, let's see, author me. Got to use a command I didn't know was a thing. I've seen it, but I'd never gotten to run it before. And this was slash cherry pick release dash 1.9. So like you run this on a PR that's already been committed to main, and this cherry commit command is really cool because it'll take that one commit and apply it to the branch whose name you supply in the command. Oh, my hand is up. Why is my hand up? Okay. I don't know why my hand is on the Zoom. All right. Anyway, so that was cool. When I tried to do it to 1.8, it failed, and I had to manually apply the commit to that branch. But oh well. I thought it was cool because it made the PR and everything, and then everyone just approved it, and so that was nice and easy.
That's
Um,
cool. I didn't know. Thank
it's
you.
very neat, but let's not oversell what I did. I changed two lines of code very slightly, so not exactly a fancy PR. Okay. Let's see. All right. Any other questions or things people want to discuss? How did the pairing go? Did that work out?
So I think one trouble was that w- from time perspective, we didn't really have much time. I had to leave, like we only had half an hour and we just quickly reviewed some small things. So we really didn't get into debugging any of the tests. But I like that we did it. I like that we showed up and discussed a little bit of stuff. Um, Last week was a little bit crazy for me, so I'm hoping that this week I actually spend the time like every day and get to do things. I enjoyed it. I would do it again. I don't know how Addy felt and if he has
Uh,
anything.
I feel the same. I would definitely be down to do it again this week. And I think now that we've walked through the flow for running an individual test, uh, it'll be a lot smoother.
All right, cool. Does anyone else want to join in on that this week? You guys, I guess you guys are still paving the way for us, so give it a go again.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
we can work. You guys can work out the process, and then we can hand it off to the next CI team. Like, here's how to actually do this.
Mm.
And I think it doesn't have to be anything like, hey, let's commit to this time. Like if any of us is planning to work on it and says in the channel, hey, I'm planning to start working on this, I don't know, in an hour or two, whoever is available and is interested, like they can join. And because we just did a huddle on Slack and it was pretty easy. We shared screen and talked a little bit and we dropped off when we had to leave.
Okay.
So everyone is welcome if you guys want to join. I will let you know whenever I want to look at it.
Yeah,
So,
and ping people in the release channel that it's happening.
okay, sure.
And thanks to Seppi and Ati for taking initiative on this.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Like we haven't done anything official yet, but
No, and I gotta follow the same model, like, because I do next time I dig into one of these things, I need to just tell people, yeah, I'm digging in now if you want to join.
I feel sorry and I feel so bad for Chris. I mean, I know you have been doing all this by yourself. We haven't been
No, it really hasn't been
helpful.
that bad. Don't worry about it, and I've got time. So
You're like, these are the worst CI people to
these th
join.
these are yeah, these are hard to debug, and they pre-exist us, and they're gonna last after we're done with our shift on this whole cycle. But yeah, these are hard ones to get rid of. So
Also one more question.
mhm.
So I don't know which week we are in right now, if it's week 4 or 5,
Ooh.
but are we expecting our work to change much other than looking into CI tests?
Your job, no.
Hmm.
I have to do some stuff later in the cycle.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to find the new cycle. Where is that? Is that this one here? No, this is an example of it. I know Matt just
Yeah, it got
committed
updated.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it just moved everything forward 3 weeks, basically.
Yeah.
There's a week in there where I have to make some new jobs on the
Okay.
prow. And that's just copy pasting the YAML that exists to point to the new version and then
Hmm.
removing the 1.7.
Hmm.
That's the only additional thing later on in the cycle that I'm aware of.
Uh, if you feel like it at a
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
would
I
love to
definitely
see
should invite
it.
you all. Yeah.
That would be nice. Thank you.
Hmm.
Okay, I'll shut up. I talked a lot.
Don't worry about it. We need someone to do the talking. Mm. Okay. Any other questions from anybody about anything? All right.
Really.
Thanks. Thank you. Oh, what was that?
No, I was just saying that I don't really have
Oh,
anything else.
okay. Okay. Thank you everybody for joining. Um, ping me in the Slack or ping all of us in the Slack if you need anything. Um, other than that, have a good morning, evening, sleep time, whatever it is for you, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
you.
See you.
Thanks a lot. See you.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone. Bye.
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 Bye bye.